Hey, Dubbles and Views here. I'm doing this YouTube video for you guys, and I'd like to welcome you to Extreme Rules 2016 predictions. Now I'm here with Turbo Tony,
That's right. Yep.
and and we're doing this video of our predictions for the show. So just for those who don't know you, just give a rundown of your channel and uh, everything that's on there, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. All that good stuff. Yeah. I'm the host of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. So obviously we run down every segment on Monday Night Raw, give the wrestling news of the week, do a little bit of trivia, have a little bit of fun, and on some of the less interesting weeks of Raw, we like to satirize some of the stuff, come up with jokes and everything, that sort of thing. But yeah, you can just you can search it from there. Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. It will come up, and thanks a lot for allowing me to be on your channel.
oh yeah, pleasure's mine. And I'll have a link to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast in the description of this video. So anyone who wants to check that out, I strongly recommend it. Uh, I was a fan. I still am a fan. And yeah, awesome. So we're doing Extreme Rules predictions and the rundown of the card of what we think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin for the
Oh.
pre-show in a no DQ match.
Oh, I tell you what is the most depressing thing about this though is that Baron Corbin started off so well, right, at WrestleMania. That big win, that was really unexpected, and he's had a bit of a crappy couple of months since WrestleMania, and I think even just here being on the pre-show kind of solidifies that, right?
Yeah, and it's especially with how he was first booked out of the gate. Like he destroyed Ziggler on, I think it was the After Mania show,
Mm,
which was just awesome for him. But then he lost to him at Payback, which didn't at all make any sense.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what they're gonna do with this match because it's on the pre-show, and I don't know how many people actually watch the pre-show. So
I know I don't. I have the only pre-show I watch is WrestleMania, and that's because I just leave it on in the background while I'm getting all the snacks and all that crap ready. So, but I think they'll give it to Corbin though. I think they've been trying to stretch it out. I think they'll give him the win. I don't see any point in Ziggler getting the win here because like how is Corbin meant to get over to the fans if he's constantly losing to Ziggler? And all respect to Ziggler, I've got huge respect for him as a wrestler, but he's never been treated as if he's a top tier guy. So Corbin coming in then losing to him is just not going to help. So I like to hope that you get the win.
yeah, same. I was a big fan of Corbin, not as I started watching NXT, but as he kept going through his
Hmm.
stuff with Joe, and then his most recent thing with Austin Aries. He's really evolved as a wrestler,
Yeah.
and just to see how he's just being put with Ziggler now doesn't really feel like he can do the best that he should do. But I think if he doesn't get the win, then that's a big issue for him, and it just doesn't make sense booking wise.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of killing this guy right out from the gate. So that's why I think they're going to give him the win because I think it'd just be too idiotic not to. That's my belief. But who knows with WWE? They've made mistakes before. It won't be the last time. So, but my prediction anyway is with Corbin.
Same here. Corbin should get the win. Do you see them doing, since it's the pre-show, any elaborate weapon setups or anything? Because it's no DQ.
I don't think so. But that doesn't stop it from being a good match. There's been quite a few matches on the pre-show that have actually been fairly decent, which even makes it a little bit more of a shame that they were on the pre-show to begin with. So I wouldn't completely rule it out, but most people probably won't catch it, and I know I won't. So even though I'm blowing all this smoke up in this match, saying it could be good, I'm being a bit hypocritical because I've got no intention of watching myself. So, but still,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch the day after for the whole show, and I'll probably watch it. And if it's not that great, I'll fast forward.
yeah.
But I didn't think Kalisto and Ryback from Payback was gonna be good, and I was very into that match. So yeah, it all depends.
Sometimes they think
Uh,
it's like them trying to make a statement, right? Like, how dare you put us on the pre-show? We'll show you why we should be on the main roster, on the main card. But
yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Awesome. All right, so both of us have Corbin for winning.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go into the IC title match: Miz versus Owens versus Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. Who do you see winning this?
Here's the thing with this. I always go with the thoughts of this, that if you're having like a multi-man match for a championship, more often than not, it's the champion who ends up retaining. And I can almost see Miz being like one of the guys here where everyone's a lot more into all the other guys, in this match. I mean, let's just be honest here. But what they like to do a lot with the Miz is that he tends up liking to steal it on an occasion, right? He comes in, throws a guy at the ring, gets the pinfall. So I'm actually thinking he's going to end up retaining the title here.
Yeah, like he has had a lot of those times where it's the Miz, whatever, and then he wins, and then it's like, this is interesting. Like I think it was WrestleMania 29 when he beat, I forget who I think it was Barrett, and then he went to win the title, and he did not Dolph Ziggler, the Zack Ryder of losing it the next night.
Yeah,
but it's just one of those things where he'll pick up the win in the most random of times. But I think him with Maurice right now is a great pairing. When I saw her on Raw, it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, awesome. I forgot about her, and she's here, and I'm interested in The Miz again.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's one of those things. My co-host is not a fan of Maurice at all. I'm a little bit more along the lines of, I think of it as, I'm not a big fan of The Miz. He, as a guy, he just tends to annoy me. But having Maurice around, I'd much rather have Maurice around with The Miz than not. So if I look at it in that sort of sense, then yeah, I don't have a problem with her being around at all. So, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it gives the character like more dimensions to have, instead of just being this Hollywood I'm better than everyone person that he has been. Like with Maurice, it gives him more of a dimension to the character, and there aren't enough female managers, like in my opinion at least, on the roster, because you got Lana, and then really, is there anyone else? Like,
there's a devoid of managers in general. I think it's one of the dying art forms in wrestling, is the manager role. So yeah, I'd firmly agree with you on that sense. But I still think he's coming out with the championship. I still think he's going to win it, and then whoever he feuds with after that, it'll probably be one of these guys. But I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking Cesaro. Personally, I think he's going to pick up the victory, and him and The Miz will fight at, I think, Money in the Bank's the next one, and then Cesaro will go on to face someone else. But I think Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in this match, it's been interesting how they booked them, because it started off with, at the Royal Rumble, it looking like, all right, they're going to have a WrestleMania match against each other, and then it was the multi-man ladder match, and then they had their match at Payback, and just, it's been building to, all right, they're going to have a big blow-off match, which I don't really think they need yet.
Yeah, because they've got that dynamic where it's, I mean, I know they've said it before that they'll end up wrestling each other forever. It's kind of funny that they've got the same sort of dynamic that Bret Hart thought he should have had with Shawn Michaels, where they never have a blow-off match because they'll just end up wrestling each other for the next 5 years as rivals, right? So yeah, you can have them have matches with each other, but they're always, I think they're always, the way the WWE, I think, have got it going with them, and I think it's the correct way of doing it, is that they'll never end their rivalry. It'll always be there, but they'll have matches against each other, but it will never truly end in that sense. I think that's okay. I honestly don't have too much of a problem with that.
Yeah, they seem to be those guys that could just continue wrestling and will always have like the interest. Like, as you said, Bret and Shawn was almost like that, but not really. That was the same with Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They had that couple shows in 2012, and then they just always seemed like guys, especially back in their Ring of Honor days, that could always wrestle and like pull off a good match and be great. Have you seen any of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens from their Ring of Honor and PWG stuff?
I have, yeah. And one of the great things about that, even just coming in from the WWE standpoint, is that, I mean, the battles that they're having now aren't the first battles they've had. I mean, obviously they've been wrestling with and against each other for years and years and years. Their matches are only going to get better. Which if I were WWE, I'd be quite happy about having the pair of them on my main roster, because if you need a high class match in the middle of a show, they're the two guys I would call upon. On a pay-per-view or something along those lines.
Especially, in my opinion at least, at Payback, when you had Enzo get injured in the first match and then no one knew what was happening with him. And then right after that was Owens and Zayn. I wasn't into the first probably third of that match, but as it went on, they drew me back into it.
Yeah.
And instead of being completely worried for Enzo, I was into this match. The double blue thunder bombs, Michael Cole, excellent commentary there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I like that they did this with the Fatal 4-Way, because, as you said, while I would obviously enjoy it, I don't want to see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have a 3-match program with each other. That's not how it should work with them. But having them in matches like this, where they're still fighting each other, but not in a one-on-one match, that's good booking for me. I like the way they're doing that. And I do think there will be the best parts of this match, but I still think Miz is going to walk away with the championships, though. So,
yeah. But at least we can agree that it's not Owens or Zayn that's going to walk away with the belt, because their rivalry doesn't need it.
No.
At least right now. And I'd love to see, if you're going to have anything close to a blow-off match between the two of them, it should be at next year's WrestleMania, and it should be a big one-on-one match, in my opinion at least. And then throughout now until then, maybe make them, put them together as a tag team, kind of like they did on Raw, but they don't want to be a tag team, and they end up winning the belts, and then go on, and they hate each other, but they got a team together, and then something like that happens.
There's a lot of different avenues that they could go down on that front, when you think of it that way.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see how it goes, because I think that match could be good.
Mm-hmm.
So you say Miz, I say Cesaro. Oh, that's fine, no worries. All right. Now let's go. The Usos versus the Club. Who do you think's gonna go and win this Tornado Tag Team match?
Just a small note before I give my prediction. I think that we were just talking about how I like the booking of that IC title match. I've got to say that I think the booking for this match is horrendous. I
have to agree. Yeah.
The fact that we've seen these two teams, face each other twice already since Anderson and Gallows have debuted, and then we're getting it on a pay-per-view where the consequences of the match are completely inconsequential on that front. It means the match itself is basically meaningless. So, my prediction anyway, I think that Gallows and Anderson will win, but it doesn't matter, which is a bit of a shame on that front. That this match, in terms of long-term storyline, won't change according to whoever wins this match, and that is the essence of poor booking on that front.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. The Club, at least I guess that's what we're calling them, came in good. They attacked the Usos, they attacked Reigns, but then it kind of went to they're only really fighting the Usos, and just continue doing that, which I think the only way that this match will actually be anything meaningful is if it's Anderson and Gallows win the match by completely destroying Jimmy and Jay. Then it'll make them that's the only real thing that they can do to bring not necessarily interest to the characters, but just make it an interesting match.
Yeah, I think this is one of the matches I think is a bit unfortunate. I think it's going to get they're going to find it hard to get any sort of response from the crowd, and you can't blame it on that front because the crowd have already seen it. And it's a lot more... listen, this is different. People might say, oh, well, you've seen AJ against Roman Reigns before. The difference is that's for the championship, right? That's actually got something on the line. This match has absolutely nothing on the line. Nothing will change according to whoever wins it. So I think that's the main issue there. I hope they don't screw these guys up, because people that might know what they're capable of when I'm talking about Gallows and Anderson... Geez, that's a team right there that you could use in a number of ways. They're a high class tag team that you shouldn't be
one of the best in the world, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. I'm not gonna completely go WWE have ruined these guys yet, because it's far too early for that. But I'm not gonna. I would be lying if I said that I had wished that their first 2 months or so in the company were done, were done exactly as they are, because I wouldn't have wanted it to be that way. But that's just my personal thought on that. But I do think they'll win this match anyway.
Yeah, I'm thinking that just either they're gonna do the club wins, and I want the club to win. I want it.
Mhm.
I want Gallows and Anderson to win, pick up the victory, destroy the Usos, move on from that as quickly as possible. Hopefully, and they might do they win so that if Roman beats AJ, it's kind of, well, AJ lost, but you had these other guys that are like AJ from New Japan that won. Isn't this what you want? Which, yeah. Or they could do.
I think that's a bit optimistic. I still think the fans are going to shit on him on Reigns regardless. So.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. But that's probably what WWE's thinking. Like, oh, we'll give you these guys. They win. AJ lost, but these other guys won.
I'm sure a few of them think that way, but yeah, no, it's not going to happen. But yeah,
they could even do that, or they might even do Usos win, and then Roman's gonna win. Dominant family bloodline, whatever they're called, and then AJ wins. But that's very optimistic. So I'm thinking, I'm hoping Club wins and destroy the Usos.
Yeah, that's I think it will be a close match. I don't think they'll do like a one-sided squash match or anything along those lines. But I would have liked the club to come in and destroyed a lot of teams coming in, because I honestly believe that they're a higher class tag team. But that's just not how it seems to have panned out. But hopefully we can get back on track at a certain point. Hopefully after this match.
Yeah, same. I agree. That would be the best thing for not just Anderson and Gallows, but just the overall product, to have a team that just destroys people, that isn't necessarily heel, isn't necessarily face, but they just.
You need a new team to go against the New Day, because I don't think they're losing on this show, which is a bit of a spoiler. But you need a new team to go against them, and I honestly would like the club or Anderson and Gallows to get a title run, be the ones that beat the New Day. I think that's a rivalry that you can run with for a while, that I think has got a bit of traction there. But
yeah, and we'll talk about that actually next. But I think club will beat Usos, and that'll be that. It might be like 60-40, 70-30 for offense for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I'm interested to see how the tornado rules will work, because we haven't seen one of those matches in a long time. So
yeah,
that should be interesting. And as we were saying, New Day versus the Vaudevillains. So what do you think of how this match has pretty much been set up?
It's one of those things here where I think the New Day do their thing, and they're quite entertaining. They need a team, and this is going to be very sort of negative towards the Vaudevillains here, but I think they just need a team that they can beat and then move on to something bigger. And that's the way I look at it here. I actually like the Vaudevillains. Obviously watching from NXT and seeing the work there. I just don't think that they are being planned to be given like a title run or anything along those lines. And I don't think this is a lengthy title feud, between the Vaudevillains here. So I see New Day retaining. I've obviously said what I think will eventually happen down the line, or at least I hope so. In terms of like the storyline, I think it's been okay. I don't think it's been bad. I don't think it's been fantastic. I think it's been serviceable. But
what do you think of the whole time machine thing with Kofi going back to his Jamaican self?
I thought you were gonna. I was hoping you might not bring that up, because I did my review for that today, and I said that New Day, that they sometimes they walk on a tightrope of going just absolutely overboard, wacky, and the other side being like knock out the park comedy, good stuff. I think they need a little bit more on the wacky side on that, but it's just who they are. And you know what? I still crack a smile when they come out. What I would have liked though, if they'd just gone full with it and just done Big E back to his old gimmick of counting back to 5, or Xavier Woods having fucking the Funkadactyls music and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would have. That would have been awesome because I didn't catch the show, but I was on Facebook the day after, and I scroll past this video, and it's the New Day standing in front of a cardboard box with a bunch of plastic all over it, and I'm looking at it, and I start playing it, and he's like, Woods is talking about like going back to a bygone era, and I'm like, all right, I'm not watching this, and then somehow I was like, I'll just watch it because I like the New Day and I hope this is good, and then Kofi comes out, Jamaican accent doing the booms, and it's like, just that alone made that segment good.
Yeah.
It was a bit in between, but yeah. I have to go with New Day as well, just retaining. I could see them going and doing this at Money in the Bank, this match, just because I don't really see them having a tag team yet for this, for Money in the Bank to face them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think this is going to go long. All right, so both of us got New Day retaining.
Mm-hmm.
And, all right, so let's move to the next match. Kalisto versus Rusev.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to happen here?
I think there's going to be a title change. I think Rusev's walking out with the title. And the main reason I'm thinking that here is, if honestly, I actually think that Kalisto's title run has been a bit of a dud. And it's not completely down to him. I mean, I'm going to say now it's not down to him because he is a good wrestler. But WWE just hasn't had a lot of care in that championship. And you can tell that by the fact that it's been on the pre-show for the last, 3 pay-per-views back-to-back?
I think it was on... I think it wasn't on the Rumble pre-show, but it was on Fastlane, Mania, yeah, past 3. It doesn't seem like it's going to be on the pre-show for this one, but yeah, the past 3 pre-shows it's been on.
But there's a reason that I believe that it's not on the pre-show, and that's because the title's changing hands. So that's the way I look at it. And I honestly look at it and think, well, why not put it on Rusev? I know people might think it's a bit samey going back to his US title run and playing off that again. But it seems to be what WWE seems most comfortable with. And as long as that title gets some airtime on Raw, then I'm willing to overlook the fact that this may be WWE going back to stuff that they've already done. But, yeah, that's my thoughts. I think Rusev's winning.
And all things considered, Rusev as champion is... Like, he held the title for a long time back, 2014, 2015, and that was pretty much all great, just down to Lana and him being the anti-Americans and Rusev just being an awesome wrestler.
Yeah.
Like,
he's
I'm
so
a big
underrated,
fan of his.
Rusev is.
Oh, so underrated. League of Nations, that group, he wasn't able to shine, and honestly, everyone pretty much thinks this. That group was just a bad booking decision after bad booking decision. So,
yeah.
Which sucks because they had so many in my opinion, at least star talents in there. You had Barrett, now released. You had Sheamus, you had Del Rio, and you had him. Like, they could have been great, but instead they weren't, which does suck.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking Rusev will... I actually have no idea on this match, partially because I think that WWE might do Kalisto versus Sin Cara.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be a cool rivalry, especially now, because if you look back at it, the last rivalry Kalisto had was, I think, Fastlane, and that was just against Del Rio, and then that completely ended, and now it's just been, here's Kalisto versus a big guy. Like, here's Ryback, here's Rusev. So he needs to be in a solid feud, and I think him and Sin Cara could do something, especially if, say, Rusev is to pick up the victory, and it's because Sin Cara interferes, attacks Kalisto, then after the match takes him out and injures him. Not really, because he's already injured from, not sure if you heard, but from the Accolade, that like tore or strained some muscles in his stomach.
Yeah, they're running that
So
as the story of this kind of rivalry that he's going in injured. So
yeah, so I think they might try to hide that injury with Sin Cara attacking him and then him being out for a while, and then they build up to that match for Battleground or something, because I think that could be a really good match between the two of them.
yeah,
Um,
that's a part of the. If there's an interesting story there if they want to tell it, where Sin Cara essentially has been playing second fiddle while Kalisto's been champion. He's just been the other guy while Kalisto's been the champion, and they could tell a story here of Sin Cara just finally being, you know what, like this is my time. Like I'm not going to sit around and let you take the spotlight. There's only so much I'm willing to be your tag team partner when you're not wrestling in US title matches. So I'm taking it into my own hands. So there is a story they could tell there. So that's an avenue that they could go down. But my general opinion is they're probably going to do Rusev wins the championship. Kalisto gets that rematch. I still think Rusev will win that as well. And I'm afraid for Kalisto because I honestly think that WWE they don't have nearly as much stock in him as they do someone like Rusev. That's my opinion, but I would be very happy to be proven wrong on that.
yeah, I'd like to see Rusev win, but I honestly have no idea, and I would be fine with either of them winning as long as Kalisto gets a rivalry and gets put in a story that really can elevate him from just being placed with the nearest 6'4", 280-pound guy.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
whenever they got a little guy as champion, they always want to tell that story. It's a little bit a little bit overdone, but at the very least here we've got a big guy who I think is a very, very good wrestler, and I actually think they could have a really, really good match here. But we'll see how it goes.
I agree. Yeah. All right. Awesome. So you go with Rusev. I'm impartial.
Okay.
All right. So let's go to Charlotte versus Natalya, and I actually got to see this match live at the network special Roadblock.
Oh, you were there.
Toronto. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was there. I got to watch that match. It was really good live. I haven't gone back to watch the show, but I hear it's really good. I also was the guy holding up the sign with Styles, Nakamura, and Gallows and Anderson on it, saying the new generation has arrived, or new era. Just if you go back and watch that show, you might see me a couple times.
I will keep my eyes peeled.
Awesome. But, yeah, so they had that weird finish at the last show. But, alright. Do you know the story behind, well, not really the story, but one of the reasons why it was Charles Robinson, who was the referee that screwed Natalya?
Yeah, it's obviously it's the fact that they even played clips of him being Little Nate, right? I think it's hilarious actually going back and watching those matches where he was actually billed as Little Nate, and he'll go wrestle matches. He's got this adoration and stuff. So I would be shocked though if they play up that angle again because of how they seem to be wanting to do it. So this is a completely fair match, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do get the feeling, regardless, though, that they're trying to very much tease it that Charlotte's not going to walk away champion here. But this has always been my long-term thought with this, that the big money match with Charlotte losing that championship isn't against Natalya, it's against Sasha Banks. And I think they're saving that for SummerSlam. Now, they could have her lose the title and then get it back, but there's much more money to be made and a bigger story to be produced for them if Charlotte remains champion all the way leading up to SummerSlam. So I know it's a bit of a cop-out reason that that's what I think they're going with, so I don't think Natalya's going to win. But that's basically my prediction. I honestly don't think... I think Natalya is a stopgap for them to give them time, have a good couple of matches, build up Charlotte, even though, as the heel champion, right, get that heat on her. And then when the time comes, Sasha comes back and then she's the one to dethrone her. And that's how I see it going. And
yeah, I agree. It'll be really, Natalia's you always hear the transitional champion. She's the transitional opponent, going from Mania to, I guess, whatever they do. If they continue this match until pretty much before SummerSlam, which will be a lot of matches, but it could be just that going on and on and on. But yeah, I think Charlotte's going to win this one.
Yeah, that's how I see it going. You know, it's a bit of a shame because I think Natalia's been a really good servant to that company, but she's just not the right person. Man, I almost seem very hypocritical there. That she's such a great servant, but she's not the right person. But that's just how I feel.
Well, she's the right person at the wrong time.
Yeah. Oh, that is so poignant because if she had started her career, like let's say 2 years ago, rather than like probably 6 years ago in WWE, right? She would have her prime when this new era of women's wrestling is coming up. Yeah, she would. I'm honestly thinking that if that was the case, in WWE would be looking at this a lot more and thinking, you know what, like she could be a champion for us for a good period of time. But they look at her as this very talented woman on their roster that they can go out there, she can go and lose, and then they can build stars around her. And it's a bit of a shame that I kind of don't disagree with them on that thought track because you want to build around your future stars, and Natalya just isn't one of them, which is a bit of a shame. But that's just how how things have played out, unfortunately.
Yeah, they might do depending on how Tyson Kidd is, what his status is with that injury. They might near the end of the year they might have Natalya as champion for a pay-per-view or two, just as like a sympathetical, here you get the belts. We know times are hard, but at least for now, I don't see the title getting off of Charlotte until at least SummerSlam against Sasha Banks.
Yeah. And I the way I see it playing out is that they've played it up so much that all the avenues for Charlotte to cheat have been removed with Ric Flair not being there. She's still going to cheat. She's still going to win that title. It just won't be with Ric Flair being there. And that's going to be the big thing that everyone's naturally assuming that, this will be the match where Charlotte isn't going to cheat and retain the title. No, she's going to cheat, but she's not going to do it in the way that she has been doing it. And that's going to be, I can almost hear JBL now going, how fantastic she is. She found a way. And that's how I see it playing out personally.
Yeah, just because, after all, a heel can cheat, like grab the ropes, grab the tights, do practically anything that's not involving a manager, but it's just been she's been built around. She can only do it with the help of her dad.
Yeah.
So I think she'll do...
She's got champion's advantage as well. They never played that up. So, the whole thing was that she has to wrestle the match or she'll be stripped of the title. Nothing's saying that she can't get DQ'd in that match. So there's plenty of avenues open there, and I wouldn't take WWE's word that this is, it's going to be completely above board. There's so many loopholes here, and I expect them to use one of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if during the match Charlotte does the heel thing of leaving the ring with the belt or whatever, and even trying to make the women equal to the men, maybe trying to get herself DQ'd by using the belt as a weapon.
Yeah.
Not happening. Just doing those two avenues of, I guess it's not necessarily a near fall, it's a near loss? I don't know, but near DQ.
Yeah.
Or count out. Anyway, so yeah, both of us, Charlotte winning. Yeah. Now we have Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho in an Asylum match.
How about that sell, huh? He looked demonic on Raw, I have to say. I have to give him props. I've been one of these people wanting a more sadistic, unhinged, less comedic Ambrose. I was really glad to see him, him go and play off that a little bit more than what he's been doing recently, which he's been playing a bit more of a comedy role, right? So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I do.
I think this match done well, which I wouldn't be surprised if it is done well, because Ambrose and Jericho have had they had their great match at Payback, which was second best on depending on how you look at it, one of the best matches on the card. And with this Asylum thing, Like they got barbed wire, which is pretty awesome, and they got a potted plant. So it's like might be like Francesca number 2, or is it like Mitch number 2 or Mitch Jr.
Don't bring up Mitch, I'll start crying.
or
Oh, Mitch.
Too soon,
Too
man.
soon, too soon. Yeah.
The pain is still real.
It is.
Yeah. I see this match being good. Jericho has been, for the most part, good. The thing with his jacket and how I'm not sure if you've seen the videos of him backstage talking about it, or even like they had it on Raw, or was it SmackDown? One of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But just being a heel of like WWE made this tweet saying Jericho's jacket got destroyed, something like that. And then he went on like blocked them, but didn't do the like CM Punk style block where it was like, I'm just blocking you because I hate you. It's the storyline being like a heel.
Yeah.
And like he's a very good heel when used correctly.
Yeah. He is one of those guys, when he gets his teeth into a rivalry and he's a heel, and you can tell that he likes it, you can tell that he's enjoying it, he could be one of the best heels in that company by a clear mile. He, like, my co-host on the podcast, he's a massive Chris Jericho fan back in the the hypocrite era of him. And I know this is not entirely the same, but you're getting flashes of that here. He's just gifted. He really is, and he's going to be one of those guys that's always better as a heel than he is as a face. He's been entertaining as on this side. I actually do think though that there's a good chance that this is going to be his last match for a while, because we know Jericho's workload is normally he does let's say at most 5-6 months, and then he'll go away for a while. He's been around for a while, right? His current run is getting on, right? I think this is probably one of his longer runs out of the majority of his comebacks. So I honestly see this maybe being quite a match that ends this rivalry, and you may even not see Jericho around after this match, maybe after Raw, but it's happening soon. I mean, he's not going to stay full time, so that's how I see it going now.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think he's been around since the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
He tagged with Ambrose and Reigns at Night of Champions, right?
Wow, that's going back even further. I didn't think he came straight back after that though, didn't he? He had a little bit of a break, then he came back again. I
think that was like one of his last times doing the whole live event tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's been wrestling like I think the same schedule as most guys, which for a guy his age, usually I'd say maybe don't do that, but he seems to be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And I think this could be the last time we see him, especially if it's the whole asylum thing. You could easily write him off like with an injury or with something.
Yeah, like you're in a cage. So if they want to go the extra mile and just say that Ambrose put a brutal enough beating that man, Jericho just doesn't even want to show his face anymore after all the things that he said, right? So there's a lot of ways they could play it out. I mean, sometimes I haven't even given a reason for Jericho not being around. They just said, oh, yeah, he got beaten and he's not here. And then they just go on about their day. But, that's where I see this ending. And, what I like about this, though, is that this could be something down the line that Ambrose can call his own. The Asylum match, right? This could be something that if he has another blood feud down the line, he's like, you know what, there is a place that I know that I can call my own, and I know you don't want to be there. Almost like Taker's Hell in a Cell, right? That's what that started out being. This is like, this is some place you don't want to be, but this is where I live. This is where I do my work, right? So it could end up being something along that lines for him. So I hope it does, but it could be an interesting match. I'm sure there's a chance we're going to have Jericho do what he likes to do when he's involved in a cage match and jump off the top, because he tends to do that. But
and then thank DDP Yoga for the next 4 months on his podcast.
Exactly. He'll do it as he's jumping. You'll hear him do the plug as he's falling throughout the air, just to break his record.
Yeah, or if you listen to his podcast, I have a joke with some friends where it's like, he's become the master of the seamless transition
Yeah.
to where he obviously recorded them at two different times, but they're cut together so perfectly. So he's like having a conversation, and then it does the cut, but you don't even notice. It's like, ha ha ha, that's a great story. We'll talk about more about your time on the Independents, but first, let me tell you about DDP Yoga.
Yeah. No, I've caught that as well. The only time that I can catch it is when I've got my actual like proper, headphones in, and then you can hear just the slight change depending on what he's doing. But like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's a little bit like, okay, like. I tell you what, the first time that I heard that transition, I genuinely thought he just started rambling off about Sherry's berries while he's talking to like whoever it was. I was like, that must be awkward. And then obviously I realised I cottoned on, but yeah, he can go and plug DDP Yoga. So in fact, I think the last time he jumped off a cell, he said the only reason I can do this is because I did DDP Yoga. So I'm sure we can all expect that again. So
yeah, so. Dean Ambrose winning.
Yeah.
We're both good on that one?
Yeah, Dean
awesome.
Ambrose.
All right. So Dean Ambrose wins the TNA match because, yeah, the I don't know what it was called in TNA, but it was Ravens match or something.
Yeah.
And then now down to Extreme Rules match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The guy Roman Reigns versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. Yeah. So where do we begin?
The way that I look at this, right? I almost feel like I'm pissing on people's fireworks. If you had a reason to boo Roman Reigns beforehand, if you're an AJ Styles fan, you're going to have even more of a reason after this all said and done. It always makes me think that WWE are looking at this like they can't win because they clearly want Reigns to be champion for a good amount of time. They want to establish him as a top-tier talent by having him have a lengthy title run. Which, in that case, it's kind of weird that they put him up against the one guy that the very people that are booing him would hate him beating, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like they're fueling their fire on that front. However, that being said, and I do think he's going to retain here, so that's my prediction, but I do think this is going to be a hell of a match because I genuinely think, as much as the AJ Styles fans may dislike Reigns, or just more hardcore wrestling fans despise him regardless, so no matter which way you have to look at it, I think Styles and Reigns have got a bit of chemistry in that ring, and
yeah, definitely. Styles gave him his best match at Payback, which there were a lot of people that were talking about, oh, that match was awful, Reigns won, but you gotta think about it. It was very good. Like, I liked that almost as much as I liked Owens and Zayn, which is saying a lot because I've loved pretty much every single one of their matches in WWE. Their first match in NXT was awesome, but considering that those two guys, I'd put them a little bit above a Roman Reigns match, is saying a lot about not just Reigns, but Styles completely.
Yeah. And you know what is as well? I think sometimes wrestling fans can be their own worst enemy, because a lot of them would say, oh, it was a fantastic match. Look how Styles carried Roman. And I don't like that train of thought because you need two people to have a decent match.
Yeah.
You can have
not even just the Styles carried Roman, but AJ Styles was buried.
Yeah, no, he's in a world title match. Like, so to a certain degree, I can kind of, it's awkward. It's to a certain degree, I can understand what they're saying because, Styles is going to be put up against Roman, and he ain't winning that title, so he's going to come across as he's not even close to winning that championship. But in the same breath, then I think it's very unfair if you're trying to be completely unobjective, completely unbiased about Reigns. Then you've got to at least give him props for the matches. If you're saying that the matches here with Styles are good, then 50% of that is Roman Reigns, and you can't. No matter which way you dress it, that's just the bottom line, and you have to accept that. Roman Reigns is a good wrestler. He's not great, but he is good. He's not nearly as bad as what
Yes.
a lot of other people think he is. Now, WWE have clearly booked him horribly, and they refuse
Yeah, 100%.
to put him heel, which I think is completely the wrong. They're fighting people now, and that's the main reason people are booing him, because they feel that WWE are fighting them on this front. But Reigns himself, as a pro wrestler, he's not bad. He's all right. He's good. He's getting better. But I think sometimes people let the hatred of how WWE using them get a little bit over themselves. I actually think this is going to be a fantastic match. I think this is probably going to be the best match of the night. But you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think this could be match of the night. Reigns, I'm not like I'm more of an AJ Styles fan, 100% than Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Like, I get frustrated when Reigns wins just by, like, just because it's not necessarily predictable, but it's just, there's no change in his character, really. And it's just, it feels like it's very stagnant.
We've been here before. It's a lot like how they booked Cena. And I think that's
But the thing about
problem.
Cena, though, is for both of them, the fans turned on him. But for Cena, he had the fans with him for a long time. Like, Cena won the title at WrestleMania 21, and he got cheered. And, like, oh, everyone loved him. Reigns won the title at WrestleMania 32. It was, without the muted crowd, very much a booing Reigns.
Yeah, it was awkward. It really was. I think the difference with that, though, if you would have booked Cena back then, I mean, at least he had the plus of the fact that he was heel when he started as the John Cena character, whereas Roman Reigns, I mean, I know he was heel with the Shield, but he's never been heel on his own. I think if you were to book Cena in this era, I think you get the same response as what you currently get with Reigns. I think that the crowd has evolved and they expect something a little bit more. And they don't want... the crowd and the fans nowadays, they are a little bit... I know that they don't like the word, but they are a little bit smarter, right? They know when WWE have got stock in a guy. They know when they want this guy to become the next big thing. And when they don't like it, but WWE fights them on it, then you're going to get that response. So that's the way I look at it here. But
yeah.
Even now, some people will go and say Cena is a bad wrestler. He's horrible. Cena's a great wrestler. He's a great pro
Cena's
wrestler.
very good. Like, his whole... And you really... I'm not that you couldn't say it before his whole open challenge for the U.S. title, but that really made him, like, pop as this huge... Just... He can wrestle, and he can do wonders.
Yeah. I mean, I see, if people can have disagreements on how he's booked and how maybe when people get in a rivalry with him, they never come out looking good. And I'm completely on board with that. I dislike the fact that Bray Wyatt has never been the same since he went up against Cena.
Agreed.
But as a pro wrestler in that ring, doing matches, he is a very, very good pro wrestler, if not great. And
especially just look at it as there's only 5 matches, I believe, that have ever got a Meltzer 5 stars from WWE's, like, at all in the company.
Yeah.
And him and CM Punk did it. CM Punk's great, but John Cena is one of, like, a few men that has a 5-star match rating. So maybe he's not as awful as they say.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his character, but I mean, as you say there with Cena, and a lot of people look like, you know, what I said about Reigns and AJ at the moment, a lot of people levied that at Punk, saying Punk was the one who made that storyline. Yeah, he was, but you needed John Cena in that match to make it that little bit extra. You needed him to play his role and to wrestle that match as good as he did for CM Punk to have that moment. So it's a two-way dance. And I think sometimes wrestling fans get a little bit too... I mean, I get emotional sometimes. I'm not going to lie that I don't get a bit pissed off from time to time. But on retrospect, you have to look at it and give the guys their dues. But in the same breath, I'm not exactly going to deny people disliking Reigns, because I don't think it's his in-ring work that's the problem. It's just how he's been used. And that's not much he can do about that, really. So... I think that's it. But I do think he's going to win here. I think they will go for another match. I think this is going to be like, you're going to have a couple of rundowns in this match, so it'll be controversial again, and I do think they're going to go for one more match with Styles and Reigns, and then I think it's going to wrap up from there. And if you ask me, I do think Reigns will win all 3 matches. He's not losing the championship. He's not losing that title until at very least SummerSlam. That's how I look at it.
I'd say for this show, I could see Reigns winning from a standpoint of maybe Anderson and Gallows accidentally hit Styles, and something happens there, distracts him, spear by Roman, picks up the victory. Because I think what's going to happen, and your opinion on this is one of the things that I've actually spent a little while thinking about how they were going to do Finn Balor.
Yeah.
And how that's going to work out. Fellow Irishman. But I'd have to say, I think, personally, I think that they're going to wait off on Finn Balor until they're going to do the match at Money in the Bank, ladder match, whatever, and they're going to have, like, no interference, no one's allowed to come, be at ringside, and then what's going to happen is Balor attacks Styles goes down, Reigns gets the belts, whatever, and then Anderson and Gallows attack Styles, and then you have Balor and, I guess, the Club versus AJ Styles, and then that'll be a SummerSlam match.
Yeah. Or, I just don't... I think the bottom line, though, is that they want this lengthy title run for Reigns. They want to establish him, so I just don't see them getting anywhere. I don't think it's even crossed their mind, Styles winning the championship here. So, which is a shame, because I think it would be interesting. But I think that they've got their hearts dead set on it. They want to establish him, and I think that's where they're going with it. And but as I said, I do think this match will be very good. I think it will be one of those matches that might shock people, that it goes the extra mile. And it's one of those matches, unfortunately, that maybe if Styles won, it would be remembered a lot more fondly. But I think that Reigns winning may dampen maybe people's overall view on it. But I still think the match will be great.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be one of the better matches of the night. So yeah, there's not supposed to be any other segments on the show. We both agree Reigns is winning.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing to talk about. What did you think of what's your opinion at Payback, Reigns winning with only 1 spear?
Yeah, that I disliked. I think it wasn't so much more that. I think it was the fact that, Styles had hit a lot of moves on him prior to that, right? Mm-hmm. Which makes it look even worse. It makes it look like Styles can throw everything at Reigns and he could take it and kick out, but Styles can't. I didn't like it. I think they could have done it a bit differently, but I do think that match was pretty decent. But I wasn't a fan of how they did that. I'm sure they could have done it somewhere different. Hell, even maybe spear him in the middle of the match, right? So so Styles can kick out of that. Preferably, I just would have done it with Styles not hitting all of his moves beforehand. That it's just out of the blue.
Did he hit a Styles Clash?
No, but he hit the phenomenal forearm, and that was sold as his main finisher for the majority of that month, right? And even now, I think they kind of settled that they want the forearm to be his more recognized finisher. So. And even then, I even think that Styles hit a lot of offense on Roman, and that didn't end the match. So I think that's what annoyed a few people with it. But yeah,
I'd say I'm not bothered with the 1 spear getting the pin, because, and I'll start talking about that in a second. But I'm bothered by the fact AJ got I think at least 2 phenomenal forearms in during the match, and hit Pele kicks and hit all this kind of stuff and did so much, but just to get near falls. That was the main issue for me.
Yeah.
But with 1 spear doing the job, I actually somewhat like that because of the fact, and they did it also with Ambrose. Dean Ambrose only used 1 dirty deeds to beat Jericho.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly. So it seems like they're trying to build up finishers as 1 finisher will end the match, compared to the All right, hits a finisher, a kick out. He hits his finisher now on him. Kick out. There's the final finisher.
Yeah.
But being this is the move that ends the match every single time. Then leave that kick out for the Undertakers and the Brock Lesnars and even like the John Cenas.
The problem with that, and I firmly agree with you, by the way, I think they need to be a lot more careful in protecting their finishers, because otherwise you end up going a little bit one of the things I dislike about, even though I like ROH whenever I catch them, sometimes they get a bit finisher happy on those shows.
Yes.
The problem with that, though, is that WWE doesn't seem to keep up that consistency. Sometimes they will be very much, okay, finishes are finishes, they finish matches. And then other times, I mean, even take that Reigns and Styles match into consideration. That Styles hit his finisher, it was not, Reigns managed to finish. And then, it's almost two different ways of looking at it. Ironically, in a perfect world, what you would have had is Styles going for that phenomenal forearm, Reigns ducking under, right? Getting underneath him, hitting the ropes, spear. Then only one
kind of like
hit.
what, kind of like the Jericho Styles thing from Mania with Codebreaker.
Yeah, right. That way you've only got one finisher that was hit. That finisher ends the match, and it makes a little bit more sense. But it's I'm firmly believe that like finishers should be protected, and but it's just WWE. Sometimes they start out trying to keep their finishers important, and then they just lose track, or they just forget that that's what they wanted to do, and then
especially with like a debuting guy, like you'll have a guy debut, his move, like no one can get out of it, no one can kick out of it, but then one person does, and then WWE just goes everyone can do it.
Yeah, right. He might wrestle John Cena one week, which is a bit more accepted that you can kick out of moves. And then suddenly it's like, suddenly John Cena figured out how to kick out to it. And everyone's got the magical key. Everyone knows the secret formula how to kick out of a finisher. Yeah, that needs to stop. They get a little bit too happy doing that. But,
so I've said this a couple times. We both think Reigns going to win. So do you think this show will deliver as this is a good wrestling product show?
It depends on what your expectations are. I think that's could be said for a lot of the shows, right? I think if people are going into this show and thinking that they want to watch a pay-per-view that they would remember and it'll be fantastic, and can you imagine this match? I'll go back and watch that. I think that you're not going to enjoy it that much. If you accept it as a show that it will be decent, but it's not going to be over the top, balls to the wall, crazy. I know, even though it's Extreme Rules, but it's all people's expectations. I think if you're going in thinking, I'll accept a good pay-per-view, I think people will be satisfied with that. However, I'm not going to say that people expecting and hoping for more shouldn't do that, because I think that you should hope that this show, every show that WWE does, is something special. But
yeah, especially considering that, and as bad as it is to say, wrestling's fake. So they should at least give the best fake thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one thing, that they've got over any sort of sport, is that they've got full control. They can write that script. But in the same sort of breadth, they've obviously got too much of it now on a weekly basis. So that's the issue that they've got there. But I think it'll be good. I think it'll be just as good as Payback will be. Nothing more, nothing less. Almost one of the same things here. I think that's my phone going off. So, yeah, it'll be along those lines that if you enjoyed that show, I think you'll enjoy this show in somewhat the same sort of merit. But there we are.
Interesting. Awesome. So I agree with you on that completely. The show will be as good as Payback. I thought Payback was better than most WWE shows, but I could see this being pretty good. I'm excited to see the Asylum match pay-per-view, since that's what they like to do with all their gimmicks.
Yeah, that's it.
We got Money in the Bank. We got Hell in a Cell.
Asylum! That's it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we even had Fatal 4-Way at one point.
God, don't remind me. Those were awful pay-per-views. They really were.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's our preview for Extreme Rules. I'm not sure if we're going to do a post a review. But if so, look out for that. If not, I don't know.
keep tuned. Keep tuned.
Yes. Awesome. So, do you want to plug anything before we?
Yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, if you guys want to catch the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, the podcast that I host, we do pay-per-view reviews. Every single WWE review is put up there. We do a weekly show on the weekends where we answer fan questions, do trivia, review every episode of Raw, and give the news, of course. And so plenty of stuff on there. Oh yeah, and of course weekly Lucha Underground reviews, which go on there, which is my solo review that we do on there at on a weekly basis. So lots of content for you guys. Catch it, like I said, Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, and you can search it in YouTube. It'll come straight up. You'll be able to see it all there.
Awesome. All right, and yeah, let's hope to do more stuff in the future.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we did do more things.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone stay tuned. It'll be awesome if you like this, usual YouTube stuff. Hit the like button. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed this. Feedback on this episode would be awesome. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching. And would you like to, play us out?
I will. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. Why not subscribe to this channel, because it's beautiful and it's sexy and all that other good stuff and all the other great things I could say. And you know what? We'll catch you next time. I'm sure this won't be the last time that I will be coming around and speaking my thoughts here on this channel.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. Bubbles out.
Bye bye.